Hello and welcome into the SorareAndrews podcast brought to you by Sorare Data. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined as always and once again after a week off by Andy Black, who you can find as Black on Sorare. Andy, I got a lot of crap for taking last week off. And you were just like, man, it feels like it's been forever. Is it just that there's not enough Sorare content that people just like need to have this every week?
I have no idea. I'm not going to be the judge of that. I think that that obviously there's a lot of stuff out there. I don't know that there's a lot of like regular, like weekly type content though.
I will say I give other people a lot of crap when they like, I think Nellis took a week off once around
Yeah.
Christmas time. And I was like, how dare you? How dare you, sir? And then Quinny's procast. Yeah. I always mispronounce that one. And I said, what did I say? Procrast. Oh yeah. Procrast. But anyway,
Procrastinate. Yes.
that stopped. And I was like, Quinny, you can't stop. I had like a spot in my week for that. And so for everybody who has come back after the week off, which feels like a month, thank you for coming back. We definitely appreciate all of you guys watching and listening. So hello to everybody in the chat here. Mike Baston was hoping that I would be speaking French by now. I do not speak French, not even really a little bit.
Not a sentence.
Not really, no. I have to say, I wasn't really going to talk about the trip at all. I will say this, at least, that this was the first time I had met everyone I work with.
Yeah.
Like we have like video calls and whatnot. And like, I know them, but I don't like in person know them. Like
Yeah.
you, I don't know, like we've never met in person. We are taking care of that this weekend though. So I was like, oh, they're all like nice guys. Like, I'm sure it'll be fine. I will say that the team at Sorare Data is like a bunch of like really good people. Like, they're good guys. They're really smart. And it was one of those that like I was talking to my wife about, like, she's like, oh, you're going to meet the guys you work with. And obviously, like, I work for a company that exists kind of somewhere.
Yeah.
Definitely not in the US. And they just made the entire trip really easy for me, which I am not somebody who is like super comfortable in a place that I can basically not communicate with other people. Everything they did was just like super helpful. And I felt it was a really good time. I'm happy to be back. The scariest part of the trip was I needed to have a negative COVID test to come back. So I had to take a test while I was there. And the, few an hour or two where it was like, if I'm positive,
Yeah.
I'm going to stay here for another 5 days or so. But thankfully that worked out well. And
That's just an extended vacation, right? If you get to stay
yes,
for 5 more days. Yeah.
yes, extending a French Riviera vacation without my wife, who's home taking care of our kids, was definitely what I was hoping for. So, but yeah. So again, apologies everyone for taking last week off in terms of SorareAndrews and the Sorare Data Strategy Show. I will say that the strategy show is going to be Thursday this week, not Friday, because I'm flying to Orlando on Friday. Nellis has dropped this on his podcast as well, but a few of us are meeting up in Orlando this weekend to see the Orlando City versus Charlotte FC. Is that what they are? Charlotte FC?
I don't know what their names are.
FC Charlotte.
Something. Yeah.
Charlotte. Sorry, tripping. But we're going to that match. So a bunch of us, Sean will be there, Andy and I will be there, and a bunch of others. I don't want to spoil. If you guys don't know who's there and there's a little bit of a surprise, I don't want to ruin that surprise, but Nellis pretty much has ruined it anyway. But there are a bunch of a good number of people who are going that I have been dying to meet. So that will be fun. But that's also why the strategy show will be moving to Thursday just this week. I don't know how Sean's dogs react on Thursdays as opposed to Fridays, but we'll all find out together. It'll be great. So the topic this week, you and I were going back and forth because amazingly we had all this extra time to think of something to talk about, and we really didn't have anything that like jumped out at us. So this topic sort of came up because of a few like tweets I had been a part of, and it really revolves around like what happens when the Sorare user growth stops growing, or
What do
when
you
the
mean
user
when?
base stops
What do
growing.
you mean when? What?
If does it just it's just always until everyone on Earth? Well, at some point when everyone on Earth is on Sorare, I guess there are constantly people who are turning 18, so we're just going to work on that. But there might be a point where things slow down, and then it's kind of like, well, what happens to everybody? And I think that we had to. This is like something worth talking about because the way that a lot of people look at Sorare may not be the way that Sorare wants us to look at it, and I think that their goals as a company may not be aligned with so many people's view of what they use the site for and how they play the game. And one of the kind of constant things that people say to me in response to a few things are just like, at some point we need people to lose. Like not everybody can win forever, and if you have people who are winning, some people have to lose. And so that's a very big like DFS and poker mentality that like, because it's all like basically all of us against each other. And while that's basically the case in Sorare as well, minus the ETH thresholds, and that's we'll get to that in a little bit. But do you think? Let me actually start with this. When you started playing Sorare, did you join like with the idea of I can make a lot of money doing this, and that's why I'm going to do it?
No, it was just like buy these soccer guys, and there's going to be a game, and we're going to try to win more soccer guys. And I specifically use that phrase purposefully, soccer guys, because I knew nothing about Belgian football at the time, and it was just these were just like random guys to me. I was not close to that game at all. It was just like, hey, I'm gonna try to use these guys to win more of these guys. And of course, yeah, I saw like that there were guys performing better than others, and but it was not. I was not an expert, or I didn't know anything about that soccer in that part of the world.
Sure.
And part of it was like, yeah, I want to learn more. I want to get more of these cards. I had come from another platform or another game where it was basically Sorare baseball. It was a horrible implementation of it, but that's basically what it was. And that game was collect more, try to get more. And yeah, there was buy, sell, trade. It wasn't to me. It wasn't really to like accumulate more money though. It was to get the things that I wanted to get. And like on that side, it was like I'm collecting St. Louis Cardinals uh, players basically. And now, like the cool thing to me with Sorare is like, yeah, I have all these Belgian guys, all these whatever, but there are players that I want to acquire now, and I'm able to use other cards that I've acquired over the years or over the time to get the guys that I want.
Mm-hmm. So was collecting like your primary focus on Sorare to start?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I was collecting guys that I didn't really know about. The West Ham guys, I did like I knew who Chicharito was and like a few other guys.
Sure.
But at the time, I think that like they were in uncovered leagues. Like I think Ochoa was. I don't even. I guess Ochoa was in Liga MX at the time. I think he was back in America, but that was an uncovered league. Like there was a lot of like that where the guys that I did know were in uncovered leagues,
Sure.
or just like not doing anything. I think Chicharito at the time was like doing nothing. Like where was he at before LA?
His West Ham time was not fantastic. He was in Germany after that, before that. He was at Leverkusen for a little bit.
I think he was at Leverkusen before West Ham, and then I don't know. Either way, he was not. It was not like a desirable
He went to
card.
Spain too, didn't he?
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was Peachy. He would tell. He's Peachy's
Yeah, we need
Just
him to
slapping
be
himself on the forehead because he can't believe how
MVP,
little
right? Um,
West Ham, Sevilla. That's where it was,
okay,
and
okay,
then the Galaxy. One
okay.
goal with Sevilla.
Oof. But yeah, I think it was more collecting, and it was just exposure to something else, and wanting to learn. And it's been a amazing, amazingly fun ride, and I've learned so much along the way. And like, uh, yeah,
Yeah, I think my own background of like coming from DFS, knowing that there are a lot of people who play DFS for like really large amounts of money, and those people tend to do it for a living. And in DFS, like they need more people to play because they win their money.
is
And
that is that more is that more for like the G like the GPP or the like the multi entry purposes, or is that more like the heads up? I need other whale players to play heads up against.
both,
Okay.
both. It really depends on kind of like what kind of player you are. Obviously, like the more cash game head to head games, double ups are less volatile in terms of winning and losing because the big tournaments are hard to win, but you win one and then you're usually okay for a little bit. But ultimately, you need more people to play so that you have more people to beat, and you win their money, and so that's what it is. And Sorare has kind of a different. It feels like it's a similar situation in terms of like, well, we need more people to come in because then our cards are worth more because people want to buy them. But like our winning doesn't necessarily mean somebody else is losing. We've talked about this before of like what losing on Sorare really is, because like buying cards and having the value go down.
Hey, we're all losers, right?
Yeah.
We
We're
give
all
them
losers
money
right
and
now,
we
it
own
feels like.
digital goods. We're
Yeah.
all losers.
um, so the issue that the biggest difference that I saw when I joined was people who play DFS look at it, and I'm going to steal this from Jordan Cooper, who I did a ton of content with in my
Hmm.
DFS days. That DFS is a game of money played with sports names and stats.
Yeah.
But I don't think Sorare is a game of money that's played with JPEGs. And I think there are more and more people who think that's the case, but I think they're different situations, and that's why. But maybe I'm looking at it incorrectly only because Sorare is so relatively young in terms of a business and a platform. But it just doesn't feel like there are as many people here just to make money. Or if they are, I think there are many more people on the DFS side who are making, I don't want to call it life changing money, but like they use that as a way to live. That they're making enough money that they can go on vacations with it and blah blah blah. And we've seen stories of people doing this with Sorare. I sold all these cards and I bought a car or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
it just I think the there's a there's enough money in Sorare where people are like, this is I'm doing this to make money. But those most of those people aren't like, I'm here to make so much money that I'm gonna buy houses and cars and yachts and everything, a pool if you will. But because there are people who have done that, um, then they see like that's the way to do it. Like this is we're all here to make money, as opposed to like we're here to play a game that we could make money. And going back to the DFS thing, obviously there are all these people who play like high volume, and they need people to come in. Like they need casual people to come in and just be like, I like to spend $20 to $50 every whatever it is, day, week, month,
Right.
to try to win $50,000. And like, I don't think those people necessarily look at it as losing money, even though like, I think a lot of people, if you're spending 50, you're entering $50 worth of tournaments and you don't win anything, you lost $50, but like, there are enough people who have like enjoyment out of that process where that's okay with them. And in Sorare is the same thing, that I think there are enough people who want to do the research and play the tournaments and figure out different strategies and solve like the puzzles that go into Sorare. And if they're not necessarily winning a lot, I don't think that means they're losing though. And some people may look at it that way. And I think if you come in and you buy $1,000 worth of cards and you sell them for $200, then yes, you lost. But I think that Sorare needs to be more of a game. And I think more people need to look at it as a game where they're looking at it as spending money instead of losing money. And I'm not sure how, like, I don't think we're there yet. Like, I think there are too many people here who are thinking of just like investing and making money.
Yeah.
And like, we're playing like fantasy football here. Like, this is what we're doing.
Right.
And I think more people need to sort of accept that this is a game that where you can make money, you can win money, as opposed to like a vehicle for making money. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Damn.
I think what makes it difficult is like you have. I think a lot of people just see it as like whoever's in earliest is just going to be the ones that make money or whatever. Like they see morons like me who got in early, didn't know what they were doing, and had just accrued. And
With your
like,
$28 Morioka.
well, I never bought Morioka. No,
Oh, okay.
Jimmer bought Morioka for $12 or whatever. I think I have the $12 Achoa, but
There you go.
yeah. So like, I think people see that, but I think honestly, as the platform grows and develops, there's going to be other both avenues for Sorare to remain sustainable, whether it's market fees or, right now, I don't know exactly how these agreements with the leagues work, but I think it's Sorare paying them a percentage or a lump sum of money to bring leagues on.
Yep. I think
Um,
that's right.
it's some point. Do you think that there's like a critical mass where it goes the other way around, where these leagues want to be on Sorare and they want to be on Sorare so badly that
They pay
maybe there's
Sorare?
money coming in?
No.
No,
No.
that's a crazy thought, huh?
It's more like that doesn't work anywhere else. Like,
Well, how about the NFL, right? They rely so much on, and I get that's totally different thing, but they rely so much on fantasy for their brand to be successful, right? And is that just never going to be, I guess how fantasy soccer works or how these leagues work?
yeah, but that's like what you're initially describing would be the equivalent of like the NFL paying ESPN to run a fantasy game for them.
Right, but the NFL doesn't require ESPN to license the game, right?
Correct.
They just allow it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I guess my thought is like maybe there's avenues in the future where they're not having to fork over a ton of money to have access to these leagues.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
And then
I don't see it going that way though.
also possibly like sponsorship deals where there's sponsors for certain tournaments or games, and I don't know if that includes advertisements or what, but in game advertisements maybe. But I could totally see there being other as this grows, there being other avenues for Sorare to make a ton of money. So
Yeah.
I'm honestly not worried about like sustainability. I'm more worried about, are people okay to like come on and uh, have their quote unquote ROI take longer. Maybe it's 2 years or 3 years or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know.
I think it actually goes a step further that you need enough people to join who don't even think about ROI.
Right? They just want to collect the cards or get
Right.
the things that they want.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
think, and I think there are enough people who play other fantasy sports for free and Sorare needs to convince them that they should buy these cards to be collectibles. And while you're here collecting these cards, play this fantasy game and maybe win some more cards. Like,
Right.
I think the reason why Sorare doesn't talk about like how much cards cost, like after the Howland auction, everyone's like, "Oh, why wouldn't Sorare like really blast out to everybody? Like, look how much this sold for." Like, I think that would like push people away because they're like, "Oh, I can't participate in that."
Yeah.
But they're obviously trying to make this product as accessible to as many people as possible.
Right.
And in order to, I think literally the key to sustainability is convincing people to buy these cards, theoretically to buy these cards for no reason other than to just own them.
Yeah, but people people want to at least have a sense of like hope. Like
Yeah.
every game week, I go in with a sense of hope, and if you look at my results the last 4 weeks, you'll know that like yeah, I had a sense of hope, and whether it was like false hope or just my stupidity or whatever, um, it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
And but I continue playing and I keep coming back because there's that carrot at the end of the stick, and it's so rare. It's just like, hey, you can win an Mbappe this week,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting here like, yeah, I totally can, and my lamps totally might not be good enough for it, but I've got that thought in my head that it's still possible.
Yeah. No, I think that is what most people do is they think of what they can win. And I don't think there's anything bad with that. And I think the so rare economy needs that because we need people to be buying and selling cards theoretically. But
Well, it's not even like buying and selling cards. It's just like the thought that like I can win something really extraordinary or really great.
yeah, yes, yes,
And I like that's almost like the thought behind the $3 DFS entries where you can win 100K or whatever, the
yep,
really big multi-entry tournaments. And yeah, there's like probably millions of fish that enter those tournaments. And I shouldn't even refer to like people like that as fish. They're just kind of people that are playing the lottery a little bit.
yep.
And maybe that's something that like we're missing a little bit here. I don't know.
No, I think that's right. Peyton Thompson in chat said it's important to think about why everyone wants to win an Mbappe,
That's true. Yeah.
and I totally get that. In fact, I I almost feel like there are only a handful of cards on the platform that anybody really wants to win. Like,
Is that why
obviously.
everybody's so disappointed on rewards day?
Whoops. No, I think it's okay to still look at the monetary value of top prizes like Mbappe or Haaland. Shout out to our friend Third and Schlong for taking home a Haaland today.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But I think the game aspect of like I think the steps between I'm going to buy some cards to I just won an Mbappe. I think there are too many people who every day throughout the day look at the value of their cards and they're like, the value is not going up or what's going on, and they just focus on the money too much and not the game. And I think in order for So Rare to really become mainstream, you need more people to think this is a game than a money making endeavor.
I just don't think that that's ever like. I think people are always gonna. I mean, you're gonna have both, but I think that people are always, and I don't even know if it's like money making endeavor. It's more of just like that's a lot of that is like the purpose driven behind why I'm doing the thing. It's I can win the thing that's worth a lot of money.
Right.
Um, whether it's making money or not, it's like I can get that thing that's really valuable, and then I can hold on to it. Like Peyton said, important to think about why everyone wants to win an Mbappe. Well, maybe I want to win it so that I can put it in my U23 team and improve it. to
And win another one.
and win another one, I guess. I don't know, or win something else. But um, yeah, and then the money side of it too. It's a valuable card, and it's something that I feel like will always be worth a lot of money, and I would love to hold a card like that.
For sure. For sure. I'd love to sell a card like that. Just
Sure.
kidding. Um, Before my next point, Chani was just saying he was disappointed. If if anybody has not subscribed to Chani's YouTube channel, I highly recommend it. Particular, particularly for his, I feel really bad laughing at this, but Chani won a Onana rare the other day. Or was it this game
I
week?
think it was
Last
this
game
morning,
week?
right?
Was it this morning?
It had to
No,
have
it
been
wasn't
this
this game
morning.
week.
Yeah.
Last game week. Um, a podium prize got Andre Onana, who's the now backup goalie at Ajax, who's going presumably to Inter. But it was the reaction video of seeing it. And again, Chani, I apologize for laughing, but the video is hilarious. So anybody go check out Chani's Sorare channel. I think it's just Sorare Chani. Subscribe, like all his videos because they're very very good. So, but so I still think I think you and I look at this as a game and we realize that there's a lot of money involved. Like it's a game that has money involved, and we obviously want to win the thing that is worth a lot of money. But I think more people need to look at it that way. I'm just going to go back to that. Like I think more people need to focus on that side. And Jihad brings this up in chat. Adding like a collectability aspect to this makes kind of gamifies it a little more. And what's funny is when I joined, I was always like, okay, these are collectibles. And then you start playing SO5 and you realize that like prices have nothing to do with collectability except for like a handful of cards. And even those handful of cards, not everybody wants the 1 of 100 or a jersey mint. But if Sorare ends up kind of figuring out a way to make collecting these things of players we don't necessarily know, if you make that part important, that makes it, I think, feel more like a game because you're like, I don't know, that just feels like more of a game aspect than it is like, let me buy this stuff so that I can win this thing that is worth X amount of money.
Yeah. I Chris Quirk made a good comment. The game and platform, I think, do need to be both more engaging, fun. The game needs to be more gamey, I think, or there needs to be more decisions, more, and we've heard that from I think a few different guests now. I know HG mentioned that it's not a game, or he claims that it's not a game, and I think Jimmer had brought up that he likes decisions, and I agree definitely with that. Like anytime I have to, I don't robotically put my Champion Europe guys into Champion Europe and just set the lineup and then go on to the next one. Anytime I have to make a decision in like, hey, the specialist over here, I can take Messi and put him in there. And, like anytime you have to make a decision like that, I think that it adds to the game.
Yep.
And adds to the enjoyment of the game because it's things that we have to research, things that we have to make decisions on. And, and there's probably a million other ideas out there that they can add on top of this. You know, and like this is going to sound absurd, but like even something like FIFA, where it's an actual game, I don't think that something like that is outside the realms of possibilities where you have some sort of ultimate team type experience, and the cards unlock the ability to enter them into the game or whatever. Granted, that's not close, not anywhere, we're nowhere near there yet, but I don't think that that's like totally absurd to state that.
Yeah, I mean, like Ultimate Team is kind of what I keep going back to. Like, I feel like the way that people define losing on Sorare is what they also define as spending money on foot. And I don't know why one is spending money and one is losing money.
Yeah.
And maybe the people who are more involved in Ultimate Team consider it losing money. I feel like a lot of the people who came over, shout out to Chani here,
Yeah,
from FIFA, kind of look at what they spent on that
right,
previously, and they're just like, I
right.
lost that money. Like that money is gone. I'm
Jam.
not well versed in that at all, so I can't. It's tough for me to like have a real opinion on that. But it
Somebody
sure
mentioned
looks
Game
like.
Jam in chat.
Was that?
Somebody mentioned Game Jam in chat.
Yeah.
Anytime I see Game Jam, it makes me smile.
Me too. Yeah. Shani says he could have bought 5 rare Mbappes with the money he spent on foot. Oh my
Oof.
god! But there it
Yeah,
is, money he spent, not money he lost. So like,
right.
why are we losing money on So Rare? Why are we not just spending it? Why am I not like? Why is the act of buying these cards not looked at as like spending money? I don't
I don't
like.
know that there's a difference. To me, I don't really see the difference.
Well, I mean, I think fundamentally there's like the way that people feel is different when you say you have lost money or you've spent money. Like if you buy a car, you spend money to buy a car. Like you didn't lose money to buy a car. It's just a money drain after that. But still, like I don't know. I think there's a money problem on So Rare in terms of how people and I think solving that money problem will help in terms of getting more people to the platform. And somebody in chat, it's already beyond me, but said I liked this point that they were saying that the value of your cards is a way to keep score. Like you know you're doing well if the value of your cards is higher today than it was yesterday. I like that point. Um,
I think that that's just kind of another piece to the puzzle, though. Like another way to like quote unquote play the game. Whether it's you're playing SO5, whether you're just speculating on players, buying players that you think are going to perform well and or get better. Um, I don't know. I feel like that's another aspect to the game, right?
mhm. Yeah, no, I get that. I scrolled back. Don Renz was the one who said the keeping score part, but Sarky sounds like progression. Um, yeah, I think it kind of goes hand in hand of like the am I spending money on these cards to play this game, or am I losing money to get these cards to work for this ROI? Like I think it becomes more work when you start thinking of like only the money part. And I don't know. I don't know how. I think the way that Sorare becomes more mainstream, like easily mainstreamed, is come play our game. And I think they think that they're a game company. And I
But they're
think
not.
everybody who participates in this platform does not look at it as a game company. But I
Yeah.
think that's like a big step if they can convince people like, no, we're a game. Collect these cards, play our game. Maybe you win something. Yay.
Yeah, I think GNIC need more collectibles like card art, events, merchandise. I love the idea of being able to burn a card and get the physical card. I don't think that we'll ever see it, but I think that there's a lot of really um, other things that they can do that they're just not ready for yet or just haven't done.
Yeah. Daniel Cooper says, consider losing money on Sower as we're expecting a return. FIFA is like buying a computer, you know you're not getting any of it back. So I think that's the problem. Is this like expected return
Yeah,
on a JPEG
yeah,
instead of just like collecting them and playing a game? And Alan says they have legal reasons to say to claim they're a game. But like I agree, but I also think that they have business reasons to say they're a game and I think they should be a game.
right.
And I don't know how I don't know how they separate themselves from being like I don't want to say like an investment platform. Obviously, it's not that because there are enough people like buying and selling crypto is different than buying and selling Sorare cards, even though like you're still just buying and selling something. Like just because you can make money doing something doesn't mean it's like an investment vehicle. And I think not enough people appreciate that. You disagree?
I
You look like you're
mean,
just going to laugh at me. That's all.
it just comes down to speculation and like, is investing in the stock market gambling? I don't. Yeah. Is speculating on a, like, to me personally, is speculating on a Sorare card a gamble? Yeah. I mean, we've got into this discussion before on how lawyers would deem this platform versus another versus whatever. I'm not getting into that. I'm not. I didn't pass the bar, so I don't I don't have to rule on that. But I think that I I think that it doesn't really matter to me, like, whether people think they're investing or speculating or gambling. They're gonna think what they want to think, right? Or whether they think they're playing a game. They're all.
Yeah.
And does Sorare need to try to convince us? People are gonna sort of think what they want to think, right?
Well, always. Yeah.
But I guess what they need to change is like the uh, you know, either the prizes or the actual gameplay to make it more gamey. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Chris Quirk commented, Chris, who was on Nellis's podcast this past week, so I highly recommend anybody to go check out the So Far So Rare podcast as well. Said how Sorare frequently makes the point of play to earn, which instills the idea that you can make money from it.
That's a good point.
That is an excellent point.
Yeah. And by the way, I think Chris had a Twitter thread with like a really good breakdown of the Belgian.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Really, really enjoyed that thread. So if you get a chance, go follow him on Twitter and find that thread.
Chris, why don't you drop your Twitter handle in the chat and we'll sound it out. But yeah, I think so. If we stay in this idea that it's play to earn and it's a money game and we're all here to make money, what happens when the growth stops? And you joked with me earlier this week because somebody asked me that, and my response was, "We just keep playing."
Yeah.
But is it as simple as that?
I mean, we're gonna have to keep buying cards, right? I mean, eventually guys are gonna get old and retire or get hurt, and you're gonna have to either reinvest, buy new cards. Yeah, we keep playing, right? Or if we don't enjoy the game, we sell our gallery and we move on.
Right.
Obviously, it's not as simple as that, and you might just be stuck with your cards if the market, if there's no liquidity in the market and there's no appetite for buying cards. But I mean, I think that we're talking black swan type stuff there. If nobody wants to play the game anymore,
yeah, theoretically, that's
there
something.
should always be an appetite for fantasy sports.
Yeah, yeah. Chris @Chris_ Quirk is the Twitter account you all should follow. Pap says when growth stops, they go to SO11.
That's a great point.
And we buy more.
That's a good point. I love it. That is like the silver bullet they got in their pocket right now. And, if they ever just wanted to flip the switch, they totally could.
Mm-hmm. Damn it. Just there waiting for us to do it. Where was this? So Sam, what's up, Surface? Can't expect ROI forever, but I think it's reasonable to expect some type of continued portion of revenues to be given via prizes and ETH. That portion should be somewhat constant.
Yeah, they have to keep giving prizes, otherwise people won't play the game.
Right.
Right?
Right. But I guess the issue is when revenues go down and then the portion that goes to prizes goes down.
That's the importance of card prizes, right?
Freebies for them. I mean, it's not totally free, but basically. Yeah, so Jihad saying if they eliminate the thresholds, then we'll truly see what happens.
Yeah.
I was talking to you earlier today because I'm the expertise. I don't have the expertise on this, but somebody was talking about some sort of token, Sorare token, that
Like
would
an
solve
in-game
everything.
currency, right?
Right. That solves everything. Can you please explain to me why that solves everything?
I can't, and I can't explain why it doesn't either. I think that I think it's a fair discussion. I'm probably not versed enough to like really have that discussion, but I will say like typically a token like that involves like governance over the platform and voting and like direction, but they have investors that really need to determine the direction of their business.
People
So
who are actually in this to make money.
right, so there's very like they're competing forces, and the we would want like cardholders would want different things than the investors. So I don't think that ever would. I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think it makes sense from a business perspective. But like from like sustainability of the platform, I think that it could make sense as yeah, they can reward people in this token that you can use in auctions. You could buy that token with ETH to use in auctions. It's almost like their own quote unquote stable currency that they can kind of generate out of thin air. And uh, I mean, they would be generating it out of thin air, and they probably would do some sort of airdrop as well. But I just I don't know. I don't know that it would make sense from a business perspective. Again, it would make sense because they wouldn't have to be paying out in ETH or be paying out in dollars and real money. But I don't know that like the governance aspect would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, the argument that was presented to me on this was like it would be so much better for them because like you said, it's just out of thin air.
Yeah.
I own some out of thin air tokens from other projects, and I don't necessarily think like I think that doesn't sound as good to me. Like if somebody's like, "Hey, come to this game, they pay out ETH," and you're like, "That's
Yeah.
cool," and like, "Oh, but soon they're gonna pay out in these tokens," and you're like, "What? What do I do
Well,
with
I
that?"
mean, if you can trade those, like if there's good market liquidity for those and the token is like pretty stable in value, you can, swap that for ETH or US dollar or whatever. And, you know,
Who would want something stable? We're not here for stability. Come on, guys. I have you checked out Ultimate Champions at all?
no.
Because they have a in-game currency.
Yeah.
Two tokens actually, I believe they have, and I haven't
The,
bought either.
the one reason that like I um, didn't really get into it, I think I had read that there's no supply cap on the cards. So they have unlimited issuance.
I think they have one tier that is unlimited, and they have others that are limited.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've been I've been informed.
I tried to buy a pack yesterday, and the site broke down, so I couldn't buy it. But I was trying to buy a pack.
Hmm.
I've never bought a pack of anything before on the
What
internet.
leagues do they have?
Oof. League One, not to be confused with League Un, although they do have some League Un teams.
Okay.
I thought they had some championship teams, and they had one or two Scottish Premier
Are we
League.
gonna have to change our podcast name to NFT Andrews?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No. We're not. No. So we'll remain a so rare podcast forever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that was just an example of a similar game that uses tokens that I found extremely difficult to buy, and then I couldn't even buy the packs on my credit card. But maybe that'll change soon. I don't know. They're new. I get it. Growing pains. I get it.
Hey, Jihad, you mentioned Top Shot all day. I don't know what swap is. Tops kick. Yeah. So how are all those platforms doing? Like I still have some all day stuff, and I don't know. I think that would be an interesting one to know because I know that the whole NFT market's kind of just like it's. I think they're in kind of their own a weird spot right now where I think some things are really not doing well, but other things still are. Like I think that like there was the big V Friends thing this week, and I think that it
New
sold
one,
out
right?
and did really well. I think, but yeah, I've been so busy with like other things, work, whatever, life. I haven't been really following that whole NFT market real well.
All Day's the NFL one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I bought a bunch of those packs and I just kind of sat on them and haven't really.
I never got into Top Shot, partially because I didn't believe the scarcity.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of them, and that's what Jay
well,
Hot's saying is too many were produced. They're very saturated.
yeah, it was less the so like when I joined So Rare was around the time that Top Shot was like popular, and the thing that got me that I understood about scarcity with So Rare was I knew exactly like how many player cards were going to be minted every year, and this was pre limited cards. And I like appreciated that Top Shot was like, oh no, this moment will only be minted whatever many times. I remember the number being extremely high anyway, but there was no cap on the number of like of moments per player.
Yeah,
So it's like, are there going to be 10,000 LeBron moments from one from each 82 game season, like throughout the season? And so it just didn't seem scarce at all. It was like the like defined scarcity didn't mean that it was rare. It just meant that we knew how many there were. And it was just like, here, buy this thing. We know exactly how many there are. And you're like, how many? And they're like, I don't know, 2 million. And you're just
yeah.
like, this isn't rare at all.
What I didn't like, I think were, and I even with all day, like I bought like a Super Bowl pack, and I was like, all right, this will be cool. I'll get some cool moments from the Super Bowl. And then first of all, like I think there were moments in there that were like from the NFC Championship game or something, so it wasn't all Super Bowl moments, and it was disappointing. But
Hmm.
then it was just like like I think that you said this in one of the way earlier podcasts that we did, and it was like they're not really moments; they're just things that happened. And it was like, oh, a screen pass to from Mahomes to whoever to Travis Kelsey, and he gained 6 yards, and it's like
Yeah.
that happened. Yeah, was that a moment? He got a first down.
It was an
Yeah.
important one though.
Oh, right. Yeah. Like I look back at some of those, and I do have some, and they're like, yeah, that happened. Okay. I don't know, and I don't know like if we ever got moments on, and supposedly we are on So Rare. Like, well, I think that like, oh, that's a thing that happened. Are they going to do like, oh, it's a back heel pass, or is it going to be like a crazy goal in an important game?
Would you consider the Tati Castellanos nutmeg and Rabona on Michael Bradley to be a moment or a thing that happened?
Mm,
Jihad's not going to appreciate that I just dropped that one.
yeah,
I would buy that moment. I'll say it that way.
I
I
think
just
it's
called
just
it a moment.
I think it's just a thing that happened.
I would buy a video of that thing that happened. That one specifically.
Right.
But anyway, uh, look at us saying we weren't going to turn into a non-Sorare podcast. Now we're talking about Top Shot of all
Look
things.
at us go.
But but I mean, so Top Shot was like a money thing.
Yeah.
Like people saw like how much money it was, and they were like, "Oh, I can make a lot of money doing this." And then it turned out you didn't really make much money doing it, or a few people did, and a lot of people didn't. And I think there's a concern that that's going to happen to So Rare because it happens with a lot of NFT projects that.
I think the key differentiator is utility. We can play fantasy sports. I think Alan kind of said it before. Like, there's always going to be people that think that they can beat other people, and that's important. And just like that competitive drive of wanting to win, but also like I can win and win something cool. I think will always be there and always drive at least be fuel and gasoline for the market.
Yeah, no, the utility was certainly one that always differentiated So Rare from like any other project that was going on when I joined, and I'm not sure I've seen any others that are like it. I mean, Ultimate Champions is that similar. Apparently, I haven't played yet, so I can't say for sure. But plenty of people that I speak to in Sorare, that I speak to because of Sorare, have started to at least play Ultimate Champions, and they seem to like it so far. But I don't know. I think we're still. I think they're very, very different at this point. And Mike Basson saying the Modric outside foot pass to Rodrigo last week. Yes, that would.
Yep.
I would throw that as a moment.
Yeah.
Um,
I think, especially though, because of the stage of it, it
sure.
wasn't like it was.
You mean a late April MLS game is not a stage?
Yeah, and like some of the Top Shot stuff is like a 3-pointer in a random regular season game 64 of the regular season. It's like, okay, nothing but net.
All right, that's fair. So, is there? But you don't do anything different. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, do you think like moments, like if they did them well, is that a reason? Is that a reason to, people are gonna like flock to Sorare because we have these moments now?
I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that wonders if there were enough people who I don't want to say got burned, but had poor experiences with Top Shot because they got in late, in air quotes, that they look and they're like, oh, Sorare is just doing what Top Shot did with these moments. I'm not going to buy those. And I think we'll find them really cool.
I bought one of the first packs on Top Shot and I didn't make money, so.
How was that possible?
I mean, sold too early, I guess. I didn't believe in it, and I ended up doing okay on some other stuff. But yeah, I bought like the first Primo pack, and then it was just like, oh, this sucks. And I sold it, and it ended up being worth way more. Whoops.
What's it worth now, though?
I don't know. I'm not looking.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Was that before MLBC?
No, after. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was MLBC like your first?
Oh yeah. And they were like, honestly, they kind of like were the set the path for all of this, kind of sports and NFTs and the intersection, and yeah,
There were some heavy hitting Sorare managers who started there, I believe.
Yeah.
Other than yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
If anybody here, You'll Never Walk Alone, Mark, he was like the biggest Boston Red Sox fan on that platform, and he only collected Boston Red Sox, and I always got a kick out of that because I guess Red Sox owners and the Liverpool owners are the same people.
Yes.
So that's the connection there. Yeah.
Did he like baseball?
I don't know.
Yeah. Just like NFTs and things owned by the family.
I guess if they ever bring in NFL, I'll be a big Stan Kroenke fanboy, and I'll own all of the Arsenal and LA Rams, and I guess Colorado
Rapids, yeah.
Colorado Rapids, and yeah.
Sam was saying Mark knew nothing about baseball.
Yeah. For those that don't know, I'm from St. Louis, and I'm very salty about Stan Kroenke. So.
You should be, to be honest.
Yeah.
You have every reason to be. Oh, he owns the Nuggets too.
Yeah.
Oh well. I was going somewhere after that, and I forget where I was going now. Darn. Totally lost it. Oh well. So the idea that we will at some point hit, like, Sorare can't grow forever, I don't think. Maybe it can. But do you think if there's any sign of worrying, we see like a mass exodus?
I think an exodus is a problem, but I think there's a certain point where we grow and we get big enough to where it doesn't really matter if they continue growing, because there's always going to be the sink of either secondary market transaction fees or your guy gets injured, injuries, retirements, stuff like that to keep the churn and the flow of the market and money moving. So uh, I don't know. That's my opinion. I'm probably wrong. I'm not an economist, and
Do you think new sports changes anything?
um, I mean, like, if there's people playing now just to like play because they want to, like, be involved with the intersection of NFT and sports, then, and if they prefer a different sport, they will leave so rare soccer, and they'll go play the new whatever they have. If they're a big hockey fan and they come out with SO5 hockey, that they'll go do that. Um, but yeah, I don't think that there's a big like crossover there. I think that there are people that would prefer to be involved with a different sport.
We have enough people listening or watching this that just heard you say Sorare soccer and they're just like, oh,
Yeah, it's called soccer.
soccer. Yeah, I was thinking of this recently in terms like when they talk about the new sports coming, and I they're obviously going to be U.S. sports because they opened this New York office specifically to target the U.S. sports, and I'm in like a few discords where people are like, "Will you sell soccer cards to
Mm,
buy whatever the new
yeah,
stuff is?" And I think there's a better chance that the whatever the two sports are will have more overlap than like soccer and whatever the new ones are. Like we are in a position where like whatever sports they add, if they're like big US sports, we're already kind of knowledgeable about them.
hmm,
And so it's like easy for us to just like, oh yeah, let me get some of those too. But I'm not sure that there's going to be like a tremendous amount. Like I think the the reason they're doing these is to open up a completely new user base.
yeah.
And
I think Sam might be kind of saying what you're saying a little bit, where it opens up eyes too, and from both sides. You know, the soccer fans see the baseball, and the baseball fans see the soccer, and you get people wanting to get involved with both things.
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Coming from a DFS background where those sites basically have everything, the number of people who go from anything else to soccer is
Yeah,
much smaller than the other way around.
yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
or it doesn't go at all. Like at least in the states, and like I don't think that they're adding a major U.S. sport or two, I guess, in order to like increase the number of soccer users. Like it might help, but they're not. I don't think that's actually the goal. Um, but it'd be great if it was. So what I think will be interesting is if like a huge spike in whatever the next sport is helps soccer in terms of like, well, there's more revenue, pay out more, and it's like, well, we're going to pay it out because of the hockey guys, or
That
whatever.
seems weird. Yeah,
Yeah. Like I think it helps because it just gets more eyes on Sorare. Like, and there could be people in the states. Like, what's funny is that everybody talks about how the Premier League will change everything. Like that's
hmm,
no matter what they add from now on, nothing's going to have the effect that the Premier League will. And I don't even know if they're going to get the Premier League.
right.
Certainly, it's in their plans. It has to be in their plan. Whether they could get there or not is different, but it's got to be in their plan. But adding the Premier League is just as important in terms of getting like U.S. people interested in Sorare soccer.
Yeah,
Like the Premier League is the most popular league here. Like we have a Major League Soccer, but more people care about the Premier League, and so
right.
it's almost like you don't need to open up U.S. sports to get U.S. people involved. You need to you need to get the Premier League because that'll get people interested. But I don't know. We'll see what those sports do.
Would you play a cross sport contest where you chose
There
like a
was
hockey goalie, two
yeah.
soccer defenders, and a forward from an NHL team?
I mean, of course. Yeah, of course.
And they have a matrix that is 0 to 100 for all the other sports too.
I think. I mean, I think you have to do that. What was interesting? It's funny you say that.
You
Talking
think
to
that they
somebody,
have to do that?
Well, no, I'm going to tell you why. Because I was talking to somebody about Ultimate Champions,
Yeah.
and they have uncapped scoring. And the first thing was like, well, what's a good score? And it's like,
Mm,
I don't know,
yeah.
just the most you can get. And it's like, well, what does that mean? And so, like, I think people kind of underestimate the simplicity of capped scoring because, like, yes, you want to get as close to 100 as you can. And it's like, as opposed to like, oh yeah, you want to score 130, and it's like, well, how many people do that? And you're like, I don't know, I don't know. So having cap scoring for the other sports allows you to like build the games together. There was a fantasy league.
But why do they have to do it? You kind of said that they have to do it.
I meant like if they ever have a plan to like offer these combined
I see. Yeah, they all
contests,
have to have the same similar matrix
right?
design. Yeah.
Like you can't have hockey players scoring 140 and soccer capped at 100, or have your regular tennis scoring go to 150, but then if you're playing Serena Williams with Ronaldo, then now she's capped at 100 as opposed to it used to be 150. So you just need to
What would the
streamline it.
entry requirements even be for something like that? It's like must be tennis player, must be hockey player, must be defender. Like,
Right. With an L40, with an L15 of 43 or below, but only on clay courts as opposed to
yeah,
um, it's not our job though to figure that out. But there was a game or a fantasy league. I wish I could remember what it was called. It was basically like a spreadsheet league, but there were enough like fantasy people involved, like more famous fantasy people involved. But basically, you had a draft, and it was baseball, basketball, football. That might have been it. I don't think there was hockey, but basically, you draft anyone from any of those sports, but then you compete in a season long league for each of them. And then whoever has like the most points at the end of the three combined seasons wins. So you would still, you would have situations where like, well, I'll trade you LeBron for Mahomes because I need to get better. My football team needs to get better, but my basketball team's okay.
I think it totally makes sense from like the trading standpoint for all of that to be like on a same platform where like I can trade my LeBron James for you know,
I love the idea
whoever. Yeah.
for whoever.
And even if you're not crossing the competition, like maybe crossing competitions is a little crazy and wild and absurd, but like that could maybe be like a weird weekly special where you have to have players from multiple sports or something. I don't know. But I love the idea of like trading across multiple sports, especially for people that want to play different sports and being able to say, hey, these three guys for that one guy or whatever. I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah. J Hud says if they get NHL, I likely sell my champion and challenger Europe players to buy Toronto Maple Leafs and then focus on
Could
MLS.
be knocked out of the first
Love
round
it.
every year. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. Yeah, I don't know what they do. I don't know when we'll figure out what the sports are, but
This year, right? This year.
it's supposed to be this year, 2022. Two sports.
Hmm.
But who knows? But we're all going to be like, well, as long as they bring in people to make soccer better, we're fine. That's the point.
It would be fun to like look at the other sports to see if they try to like replicate aspects. Like in baseball, would you have a U23 division? Would
Why not?
they bring on minor league teams? Would they bring like I don't know. I think baseball would be really, 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 really cool. Especially if they were able to get access to the entire league and um, minor league system.
I mean, it's like fundamentally the first like card collecting vehicle was
Right.
baseball. Everyone in chat's just like, I wonder what the scoring matrix will be. Like,
Right.
we don't even know what the sports are.
Yeah. Basketball and Tommy mentioned basketball. Like, yeah. Like, how do points work? Assists, steals, and Like if it's 0 to 100, how do you scale that? I don't,
Um, I don't know.
I think there'll be double doubles and triple doubles and triple triples though.
Like actual triple double. Yeah.
Right.
What they actually were supposed to be. Oh, where was I going with that? The scoring. Ah, well, it's another one just left.
Baseball's the weird one though, where it's like kind of I consider it kind of a dying brand or a dying game. Maybe I'm completely off on that. I don't know. It's just I've lost my love for baseball, and I know plenty of my friends and others that have as well. Uh, but I think it would work really well into a game like this, and I think it plays really well in fantasy. So I don't know.
I think the the benefit for baseball is that it's really variant from and like that's the other thing. Baseball gets played every day, and game weeks. Like, how do they do game weeks?
Yeah.
How do you do pitchers? Like, there's
Yeah,
a
and there's weird stuff in baseball where pitchers will pitch twice in the same week, and like I don't know if you've ever played like season long fantasy
yeah, but
baseball.
two-star pitchers are
Yeah,
golden.
there's some weird stuff where they'd have to just obviously they'd have to hire experts and people that already know these sports really really well and know the fantasy implications of decisions.
Sure, sure. Yeah, like season-long baseball is very different than um, daily fantasy baseball, and there are enough
DFS
players
is
who.
easy, right?
What's that?
DFS is easy for them to create. It's
Sure. The
one
the
game.
negative is that you like middle relievers and closers, like you just never know when they're going to play.
Right.
And so you could if you have them in your lineup and you're like, oh, hope this guy pitches the seventh today.
Do you have to have is that an entry requirement as a relief pitcher?
No. But I'm just saying, like with so rare cards, if you have somebody who like always plays, like everyone on the field is important.
Yeah.
But in baseball, you have positions that like don't play every day and that are kind of important. And so I don't know, it's a tricky one. Tom Poriker is how I would say. Said NCAA name and image likeness rights open the door to Sorare. That I don't think they're going to go down that path, but college sports would be interesting. I'll put it that way. I think we've speculated enough on what it could be.
So, is the answer we can't win forever, or we can, or we shouldn't? What are we going to end? What are we going to wrap this up on?
Well, we were early, so we're going to win forever.
Okay, gotcha. High five.
So, I don't think. I think. I think we all win forever as long as we are able to give up on losing and accept spending. Can't lose if you're spending. I don't think.
I'm glad we solved this.
Yeah. 68 minutes later, solved it.
What else you guys got for us?
Yeah, right. See, we take a week off and we're solving the world's problems.
Oh yeah, easy.
Oh well. But yeah, I don't think we solved anything. But if anybody has any comments, feel free to leave them below on the video. You can also reach out to me or Andy on Twitter. I'm at Andrew M. Laird. Andy's at ablack86. And if you guys have liked this video or enjoyed the video, if you please hit the like button below. It's very helpful for God knows what reasons, thanks to YouTube. And if you could subscribe to the channel as well. Anybody listening to the audio version, please rate and review it. I'll be honest, we get many more listeners on Spotify than we do on Apple, which surprised me, even though that's where I listen to my podcasts. But if you're an Apple podcast listener, if you could just juke the stats somehow and put some more ratings in, that would be helpful. Andy and I will be back next week. Don't worry. We're not going to start randomly missing. We'll be back next week, possibly with a guest. We're not sure yet. We're going to meet him this weekend. And I don't think we've even solidified that he's coming on. But now we might have to do this. But Oh, Arsenal dude 48 graduated from Villanova in 2020. Man, sorry, it threw me off. I get the Villanova thing, and all of a sudden I get thrown off. But yeah, so we'll be back next week. I'll be back with Sean on Thursday for the strategy show, and like I said, Andy and I'll be back next week. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll talk to you then.